Good morning. So I've been already meditating this morning quite a bit. I've spent some time in inquiry. So I wanted you to come join me here in this space that's already ripe and rich with receptivity, availability, and openness. And in this video, I'd like to just see what happens if I don't impose a certain agenda, but rather just allow the openness to speak, the openness to guide and to inform. So, maybe to start with, I can touch on what prayer and meditation is for me in the deepest sense. Well, I think I've already said it. When I say receptivity and openness, that really the deepest spaces of prayer and meditation, inquiry, is this kind of receptivity, openness to the moment, to the divine, to what's here, to consciousness, to awareness, to presence, to spirit. All these words that we use, consciousness, spirit, presence, they're pointing to something that's much quieter than any of those words. A reality that's right under our noses. The is of existence. The is of the moment. Which is actually so utterly quiet and humbly itself that it doesn't grab for attention. I had this thought come yesterday regarding suffering and spirit, and it went something like this. Suffering, just because it's loud, doesn't mean it's reality. Spirit, just because it's quiet, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And I'll say that one more time. So suffering, just because it's loud, doesn't mean that it's real or the only real thing. Spirit, just because it's quiet, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And so for me, what these words are pointing to is that the mind has a hard time settling in its place of origin, settling in its source, settling in its empty nature. Because it's always moving in the direction of creating, it's always moving in the direction of making something happen. I'm sure you've noticed that, especially if you've meditated a bit, the mind is always up to something. It's always creating, it's always shaping, it's always making. It's projecting, then it's reflecting on its projection. The last thing it knows how to do is to let those projections go and to open to its quiet nature, quiet source. And so for me, that's what true prayer and meditation is. And we come about this quietude not by trying to stop our projections, trying to stop our minds from thinking, creating, mulling things over, but to actually see how much we are projecting. Like, if you just take a moment and notice how much the mind is always projecting forward, you'll be amazed. This means this means that. I am this, I am that. They are this, they are that. This moment means this moment means that. All of those are projections. And then if we really believe our projections, then we start reflecting on them. And the reflection is actually an attempt to make the projection, the projected image or meaning, into a reality, into what is so. We try to establish its existence through our conviction, through our assertion. And this is where pain happens. This is where suffering happens. This is where most of human suffering happens, is when we take our ideas, our mental approximations, we paste them on what is, we paste them on reality, and then we say, this is how it is, this is what reality is. And reality is itself and will always show the mind that it is not so. That's not how it works. And then we suffer because we so want it to be the way that we think it is. And so to see this fact, to see the fact of how much we're attempting to control with our minds, attempting to impose our own perception, ideas, shoulds and shouldn'ts on reality. To see this fact can be incredibly freeing. You could say it this way: everything I do, everything this mind does in me is constantly projecting and reflecting. Grasping, holding, clenching, tensing, controlling. Pretty much everything. Pretty much everything. See, so just to see this fact, just to notice the fact of how much our minds are always in this process allows for a breath to come in. Because for a moment, in this recognition, something else becomes available or becomes possible. Because just for a moment in the recognition, we stop playing this game of mental projected imagery and are asserting their reality. When we stop this game, naturally, because we see that that's all that we seem to be doing with our minds, and there's just a stillness, and there's a quiet. There's an availability. See, in these words of quiet, empty, stillness, availability, they're also approximations. It's just like the mind stops. Stops trying. And a breath comes in. And you're just looking at the computer screen or wherever it is you're looking, or you got your eyes closed. Just settled, rested, easeful, contented. And so back to prayer. This is what prayer is. Becoming available to the whole of existence, reality, what is. Not needing to assert your mental projections, the images in the mind, not trying to establish their reality, not trying to ascertain your beliefs, but unhooking all those, opening all those, freeing those up. And letting what is be what it is. And in that, you notice that there's no difference between what is and what you are. It's the same is. It's the same isness. It's the same existence. It's the same reality. And it's all happening now, in here. And you just enjoy. And the mind will come in and it's like, well, what do I do with this now? Do I get something from it? Do I make something happen with it? Do I go and use this to get the life of my dreams? Yeah, it's just more of the same mental stuff. Projected, reflected, asserted. And just here, just back to this that you are. This present moment. Simply being. See, in the space, everything organizes in you. When I say everything organizes in you, that means that everything in the body, in your emotions, in your mind, in your field, feels settled and like it's in its right place. Nothing's getting hooked on anything else. Nothing's needing more attention than something else. It's all just calm, quiet, settled, free to be what it is, free to be itself. And it's organizing because the mind feels organized in the sense of like just clean, like a clear space. Like nothing's looking for attention more than anything else. Nothing is clamoring for attention. Just like a clean, empty, wide open room with all the windows open. You know, I've said the word enjoying a couple of times already, but it's quieter than enjoying. It's like just this pleasant subtlety, pleasant ease. So this open space, this available space, is settledness in the mind, is true prayer, true meditation. Totally available to what's here. Thanks for joining me.